fun. Oklahoma State at Iowa State.
Yeah.
We talked about this game last week. We thought it was absolutely crazy that Oklahoma State was the underdog, being the number 8 team in the country. But they're going to Ames. They've had trouble in Ames before. And, man, Vegas proved to be right, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that Ames is kind of, for what it's worth, Gundy's Achilles heel a little bit.
Because you look back, what was it?
That was what I was thinking. It was a Brandon Weeden year.
Brandon Weeden.
Yeah,
they had a chance to go.
Yeah.
They had a chance to go to the national championship game, and that was their only loss.
Yep. In historic fashion too, by the way. I mean, so look, this is always a tough place to play. You know it, I know it. Anytime that you get out of here with a win is a big deal.
I played my best games for whatever reason. My best games were in Ames.
No kidding.
I think
that's fun then, because I mean it's
2014.
Tough.
I think I had 6 total
Lovely.
touchdowns, and we put up like I'm serious. I think it was a school record, like 650 yards of offense at the time. Baker and those guys blew that out of the water. But I always played good there, but I get it. It's a trap environment. Yeah. They kind of get going. It's Jack Trice. You're in Ames.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
That they're they've got corn everywhere, which I don't know. I guess that's why they get so rowdy. Is there's like corn or beer. I'll take beer. But they love football, man. And they love their sports, which that's what I appreciate, man. If you're an Iowa State fan, thank you, because it's such a cool environment to play in when you go to a stadium and they love their school, they love their colors, they love their pride. So anyways, that's just it just embodies Iowa State. But look, this was a defensive game, and I don't know if we hinted at that enough. I didn't even realize that Iowa State was so damn good defense. I mean, they're like 3rd in the country. They're top 5 in the country in like every major category. As is I think Oklahoma State's like top 10 or top 15. So this was a really, really interesting game to watch, just in terms of being a fan of football. And look, and what we talked about before was that this is all on Spencer Sanders. Can he do enough to just keep them in the game? And my man had a game. My man had a heck of a game and kept them in it. They just didn't have enough big plays when it mattered, to put the game away. And look, the 4th and 2, that's another tough one. So we talked about it. OU Kansas game, they should have blown it dead. This one was really interesting because I think this was a terrible spot. I don't know if you guys know it. Garrett can't roll the clip, or otherwise we get copyright, infringement, and then they shut us down, so we can't do that. So you just got to take our word for it. But 4th and 2 throws kind of a little slip screen, honestly. And I think it was either center of the guard for Oklahoma State, basically like bear hugs him and then just brings him back, and man, he's over the line by probably a good foot, if not if not more. So kind of tough, man. That was a minute left, and they just nailed it. But man, it was a really fun game to watch. That was really, in terms of, it wasn't high scoring. It's just great ball.
It was. And so, I said this last week, and you kind of scoffed at me. I'm going to be honest there, buddy. Scoffed. Iowa State is still in the race for this thing. I know, and they really are. And I think they're playing really good football, right? First game of the year against UNI, 16-10 game, played horrible. We're like, oh, maybe the moment was too big for them last year. They had a Cinderella season, and they can't replicate it with all these guys that are preseason accolades. Then they come out the next week and they lose to Iowa. Big rivalry game. Turns out Iowa's a pretty good football team.
Yep.
They get a big win over UNLV. Maybe they find it. Then they lose to Baylor. At the time, we didn't know Baylor was in this race as well. Right. Baylor's playing really good football. And now they've rattled off wins, and you've started to see the stat line. Bryce Hall putting up numbers. Yeah. Brock Purdy putting up numbers. Defense really eliminating scores. It's what they've done is they've started to peak at the right time. And it'll be interesting to see, this week they go to West Virginia. If they can rattle off their 4th win in a row and continue to build that confidence, maybe this is an Iowa State team that comes in. But we talked last week about Spencer Sanders. If Spencer Sanders can stay out of his own way, Oklahoma State's got an opportunity to be, that team that may go to the Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
Was he the reason for the loss this week? I would say no, right? No. You talked about, when we were just chatting a little while ago, some of his throws were maybe just prayers. But he didn't do anything to lose them the game. So do you think Iowa State is the better football team at this point in the year? And I know we'll get into all this.
Right.
What initial thoughts?
But between those two teams, I do think, and it was interesting. It was kind of like, man, finally you guys woke up, right? Talking about Iowa State. I mean, this is a team that, Brock Purdy, Bryce Hall, man, they've got guys, and they've got seasoned guys. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, freshmen. Hey, step up. You're a sophomore. These guys have played a ton of games. It was actually awesome. Watching the game, Brock Purdy, buddy. Tip of the cap to you, because there's like 98 records that he's set at Iowa State, which is just really cool, man. It's great to be a young kid. When you're out shooting hoops and you're throwing down the 3-pointer at the buzzer, and there's those individual moments in a game where you do that, and you don't ever really anticipate or expect or you're not practicing to be a record breaker. But man, when it's so cool, dude, hats off to you, because when it's so cool, when it's done, it's really cool. Hats off to you, because you've set again a legacy of great ball. So all that being said, I just had to give a shout out to Brock Purdy there, but I do think that Iowa State had a better game. Okay, interestingly enough, I think that Oklahoma State is a better team, but I think they had a better game. Now, with that being said, again, this all revolves around Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. Spencer Sanders is that guy that has to come out and play well, because, and what we were talking about, before the show, 17 carries for Jaylen Warren is not enough.
No, it's not.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, that Oklahoma State knows their identity. They know that they are a running football team. Those guys are going to be again, and Spencer Sanders shares in this ground game as well for them. But I think that Jaylen Warren's a guy that needs 30 touches a game. He's already, I think, top 2 in the country in terms of attempts per game, which is again, if you have that guy, it looks like a little bowling ball out there, anyways. From Utah State transferring, which was just a beautiful. Again, just kind of, I guess, a synergistic running back. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I think he just fits really well into the system. But, man, keep letting that dude tout the ball, and that way you don't have to have those prayers. Because, look, two of those passes that, for touchdowns, and I don't want to take anything away from it. It's a touchdown. But the thing about a prayer is it's 50-50. Right, a little bit of that, because I think there's a third. It's really 30-30. You either catch it, they catch it, or it's an incomplete pass. But the thing is, a lot has to go your way to catch those. So I still think, though, that Oklahoma State is a better team at this point for a long-winded.
Let me ask you this. This may not be of any relevance, but would you rather go at this point in the season, take yourself back to when you were sporting number 14 for the Bears, and you're in the position that you're in, right, at Baylor, right? Would you rather play against Iowa State, or would you rather play against Oklahoma State?
Personally, dude, Iowa State.
Correct.
Me
too.
Just, yeah.
And I don't care how good they are.
Right. They're just, in your mind, that they're a beatable team.
Yes.
Oklahoma State
Scary.
just has something about them, whether you're playing them at home or there.
You have more talent than them. That's a lot. Maybe not every time. We did at Oklahoma. I know you guys are piecing it all together. But
yeah,
they're when you're watching them on film during the week, it's a little bit more, not nerve-wracking, but you're thinking to yourself, okay, we've really got to play a solid game this week.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
That's a great way to put it, because you have to play. These guys are always really good in their front seven. Again, the 4-down linemen and their linebackers. So they always get the sacks when you need to. And that's where I feel like, again, per that question, when we were on the field, we would run up and down the field on Iowa State. That's just, we felt like we were so much faster than them. Oklahoma State, we said that we were faster than them. But, when you watch them on tape, it's like, dang, they are really good. So,
and they, what they do? They always find a way to keep it close.
Yeah,
at least.
I know.
I mean, you look at their games this year, doesn't matter who you're playing. Some of it's Missouri State, Tulsa, but then you're also playing Texas, right? 23-16, 28-23, 21-20, 31-20, 24-14, 32-24. All their wins were not blowouts.
Right.
They found a way to stay in it, and they just came up on the right side of that fine line.
Yep.
And then this time they finally fell on the wrong side of that fine line, but they just find a way to win. And testament to the mullet man up there, Mike Gundy, getting a contract extension.
Yeah, I know.
For doing this year in and year out, and just understanding where that line is and finding enough talent, speed, plays, whatever it is, to get on the right side of that more often than not.